This is going to be a short video about piecewise functions. I'm going to show you an example of a piecewise function so you can study it. So piecewise functions are broken up into different levels. First of all, we have this x squared if x is less than or equal to 2. Notice this is our domain. At that domain, that's for our x squared. The second part of it is if x is greater than 2, when our domain is greater than 2, you put it into the square root of x minus 1. All right, so how does this all work? Well, it depends on what your restrictions on x are. When x is less than or equal to 2. So we can use 2, we can use 1, we can use 0, we can use -1 and -2, just for some examples. If we put 2 in, 2 squared is 4. If we put 1 in, 1 squared is 1. If we put 0 in, we get a 0. If we put -1 in, -1 squared is 1. And if we put -2 in x squared, because it's less than 0, we get a 4. All right, so we go about and we can start to graph this. So we do 2, that's 2, 4. This is 1, 1, 0, 0, -1, 1, and then -2, 4. So we're going to just keep that for now. Now it starts here, and we're going to make the graph, and then it continues that way because it starts at 2 and it goes out to negative infinity. Now let's look at the other part of the piecewise function. What happens when x is greater than 2? Notice it's greater than, so you can't really use 2 technically, so I'm going to put 2 in quotation marks. We need this value, but it's not going to be a part of our graph. We're going to use an open circle. So if we put 2 in here, we have 2 minus 1 is the square root of 1, which is 1. So we have 2, 1. You have to put an open circle there because it's actually, when it's 2, our answer is 4, but here we put an open circle in. So let's start testing other values. Let's put a 3 in. So if we have 3 minus 1 is the square root of 2. Okay, the square root of 2 is about 1.7. So if we put in 1, 2, 3, it's right about here. All right, now I'm going to jump to 5 because it's a little easier to see the answer. So we have 5 minus 1 is the square root of 4, which is equal to 2. So that right here, so we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we get a 2. All right, so what's going to happen with this as we get larger and larger? These values are going to increase, and we go out in that direction. So here, just to sum up, here's our piecewise function. First you do an xy chart for this part of the domain. X is less than or equal to 2, and we did that here. That was part of a parabola. Notice there's an endpoint here and an arrow here. Then we do the other part of the piecewise function. We use the square root function if x is greater than 2. Notice this is not actually a value on our graph, so we put an open circle. We put in a 3, and then we put in a 5, gives us that right there. So here's your example. Here would be, there's your show work, and here's your graph of the piecewise function.